All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Here to talk about some of the greatest stuff that happens in the world of professional wrestling. We talk about all the action inside and out, backstage curtain drama. We also talk about superstar, inactive statuses, injury updates, contract negotiations, extensions, and signings. We talk about promotions from WWE to TNA, AEW to the NWA, the GCW to Stardom, to basically if it makes major news headlines in terms of the world of professional wrestling. We talk about it here on this show, 1010%. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had Tony Khan, in breaking news, has been thinking about possibly splitting AEW Collision and AEW Dynamite to separate brands, kind of like with Raw vs. SmackDown. My personal opinion about it was I don't think they should do it. It's not like WWE, who has Raw and SmackDown, which under one umbrella is the same thing. NXT also as well. But if you're Tony Khan and if you have the businesses like the CMLL, like New Japan Professional Wrestling, which is like Stardom. Also, you have Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor stars come on. It's kind of crazy, but it feels like there's already kind of something implemented as well. Having a show that like Collision on Saturday nights, which honestly hasn't really gotten a lot of attention, being brutally honest. So I would, highly advise against like, all right, let's just go ahead and make this one big brand that we rely on. All Elite Wrestling as a whole, we rely on, this brand to bring in new wrestlers because essentially all the wrestlers you see on Dynamite have been featured on Collision as well. So what's the point, so to speak? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point of having people, what's the point of a brand split? Because it was like, it's not going to cause, viewers to come, visit your site, visit your, television network, to visit your show. All in all, it's just one under one umbrella. And ultimately, I feel like that's AEW Tony Khan's strong suit as opposed to its like weaknesses. So, a brand split, I feel like is, totally out of the question. So let's go ahead and talk about some Thursday night wrestling preview. We have a good one tonight, obviously. But before we get into any of that, sorry, excuse me, I want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up that super chat. Whether if you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, or just something you've been dying to get off your chest here at the GSMC Sports Network, we are all ears. 1010%, the show is all about keeping the conversation lively and making sure your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy, drop your thoughts inside that chat. And if you really, really, really want to make sure your comment, question, or concerns gets noticed on air, make sure you hit up that $sign, that chat box, whatever you put inside that will be featured and discussed on the show as if it's a segment. So that's pretty badass. Also, it's a great way to support the GSMC Sports Network. Helps us keep the lights on for all these amazing podcasters, all these amazing sports shows like the GSMC Sports Show, the Sports by GSMC, the GSMC Football Podcast, the Wrestling Laureate Podcast, which you're listening to right now. Also, the GSMC Fantasy Sports, you name it. All these podcasters are amazing at what they do. They share the same thrill, they share the same passion that a lot of you guys, you turn on ESPN, you turn on Fox Sports West, Southwest. For me, it's Southwest. Anticipating someone to kind of get you in the mood. You don't want to necessarily turn on your television or your source of sports and essentially just like, having a robot talk to you, looking up articles off Google, and reading something that's like, and then you read multiple articles that just state the same thing, the same plot, the same twists and turns, but eventually we'll leave up to that plot. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we have fresh takes, hot takes. We have a lot of things that you guys can ponder your minds around. But most importantly, what's better than tuning into a show that, essentially you're just watching it, just accepting what is being fed to your brain. Imagine a sports show or a sports network where you could totally change the narrative. You can change the derivative of exactly what that person is going to talk about in the show. You can do it right now. You can, hit up that super chat, or once again, if the super chat is not your thing, hit up the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. Just remember the Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network as always. Once again, a lot of sports network didn't offer things like this. I've listened to a lot of podcasts off of Twitter, Instagram, where they have like, 5 speakers. And then it's like, oh, type in your question right here. It's going to be featured on the show. And it never does. It never does. 1,010%. It never does. But here at the GSMC Sports Network, I guarantee every single time you drop a thought, a chat, opinion, hot take, I guarantee you that it's going to be addressed, which is super cool. Super cool, 1,010%. So make sure, hit up the tips and donations or the super chat. All right, so we got my Thursday Night Wrestling preview, and I know I, kind of ranted on a little bit about that. So let's go ahead and talk about some TNA wrestling. Obviously, or the last TNA was ultimately, kind of affected by everything that was happening with the hurricane. Announcer Tom Hannafin, hosted a special where they were talking about the best bound for glory moments. So yeah, we're gonna talk about it. All right, first and foremost, Nick Nemeth has taken on all challengers since arriving to TNA and in the process captured the TNA World Championship. But at Bound for Glory, he will face his biggest test yet. Yes, it's the viral sensation, Joe Hendry. Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. Do you guys believe in Joe Hendry? Do you think he's going to dethrone Nick Nemeth? Nick Nemeth has been pretty great. So honestly, that's, I think it's 50-50 right now. It's not in London. And I'm just kidding. No, damn it. I can't get it out of my head. So now, we're going to try to get through this without singing more. Will Nick Nemeth have something to say before the monumental clash? Find out tonight, Thursday on TNA Impact. Obviously, we have a high stakes triple threat match, will take place this week on TNA Impact as Jason Hotch, Leon Slater, and Laredo Kid battle for a shot at the X Division Championship. The winner will face off against Speedball Mike Bailey with the title on the line next week, who will earn a chance to challenge for the gold. Next, we have Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander recently has been kind of flirting in and out of TNA. Should be interesting to find out who he decides to go with, but he's definitely a special superstar. TNA, you got to sign him. You got to sign him. I'm sorry, 1,010%. He's he finds his way to kind of simulate his way into any kind of wrestling situation. And when I say that, I don't need to kind of mean it. I don't mean it to kind of stay abroad, but ultimately this guy reminds me of like a younger Kurt Angle. This guy's special. He has the mic opportunities. He also has skills to kind of, cut promos and stuff like that. Eric Young, one of the most diehard TNA wrestlers you have ever met. One of the most loyal guys. Something that I definitely love and respect about Eric Young is once when TNA Impact, once when you lost Lashley, once when you lost AJ Styles, once when you lost the whole aces and eights kind of, Kurt Angle, he stayed. He stayed 1,010% after leaving WWE. And, without a doubt, Eric Young has my respect. But at the same time, Josh Alexander, he's kind of, I feel like TNA Creative is kind of flirting with a lot of these storylines that it's like, look, let's try to find a storyline that works for Josh. Let's do it. Like, why not? Because he's an amazing wrestler. Anniversary, obviously, plans changed mid-match, causing Nick Nemeth to win the championship, which wasn't his fault. Wasn't his 100%. But Josh Alexander is something special. He's a one-of-a-kind generational talent in terms of professional wrestling. Usually you don't get a lot of chances at that. You kind of have to pay extra. You kind of have to pay somebody. Like, look at what happened with AEW, who wanted to sprout out, who wanted to amplify their women's division. Hey, let's overpay for this Mercedes Moné girl that thinks that she's all that, who thinks that, the world around her should cater to her, who demands her own dressing room, who demands her posse to be live at every event. I'm just kidding, getting too overworked. But overall, Josh Alexander, despite everything that, all the bull spit that he's taken from staying in TNA, and right now he's he's kind of looking for, he wants a little love. So it's time to give him a little love. And 1,010%, if they lose Josh Alexander, somebody else will pick him up, which is very bad, which would be very bad for TNA. But that's just, that's just my opinion. Since losing the TNA World Tag Team titles to the system, ABC has been fighting to reclaim their spot at the top. But this Thursday, they will face the legendary Matt and Jeff Hardy, who are making waves in their return to TNA and have their eyes set on the TNA World Tag Team titles. Which team will rise to the occasion to kind of be bigger, better, and stronger than ever? Obviously, I gotta love the Hardys. I know they want to finish their tenure, their career inside WWE. For me, it's kind of a huge red flag because what you're doing on TNA right now is you're doing so damn well. Jeff has had so many chances on WWE. Matt Hardy came back as the whole delete the broken Matt Hardy, and it worked. He was teammates with Bray Wyatt. They won the tag team titles. But it's to the point where I think WWE is over the Hardys. And you got to respect that. And if the Hardys, they want to retire in WWE, you shouldn't really ask for a title shot, at all, or ever, or ever. I'm just kidding. No, but overall, I don't know. Your time has passed. Time has passed. It's seeing Gunther kind of feud with Gunther, maybe perhaps having Gunther fight, fighting Goldberg, which would be terrible, which would be dog crap. I feel like it'd be awful. But I don't know. It should be, should be interesting. Should be interesting. All right, we got Wendy Chu teaming up with Rosemary and Tasha Steelz taking on Masha Slamovich, Sol Ruka from NXT, also Jordan Grace. I love this champion. I love this match. I definitely do love this match. I love Sol Ruka. She's definitely one of my most favorite NXT Women's Division competitors. I ultimately felt like she should have won that NXT World Women's North American Championship. But obviously, you can't always get what you want. She's been flirting with, injuries, back and forth within the last year and a half to 2 years. She's had one major injury. She's had one minor injury, which kind of kept out of action for a couple of weeks until she came back. But, Soruka is definitely one of the future women's wrestlers of WWE. So it'd be kind of interesting to find out how she, takes on a lot of this, TNA talent. I want to see her shine. I definitely I feel like she has the capability to shine. She's gonna bet. You know what? I'm gonna bet the house. I'm gonna bet the house that out of all these six amazing women, not taking anything away from them, even Alicia Edwards on the sideline, not taking anything away from her. I feel like Sol Ruka is going to be probably the most impressive. But that's just me. That's just me. All right. Lastly, we're going to see Mike Santana is going to speak tonight. Should be fine. Should be crazy to find out what he has in store for TNA. Nothing but good things. Mike Santana is a good talent. Next on Ring of Honor, again, they're going to rapidly finish this up. We're running out of time, as always, it seems like on this podcast. We have Lance Archer in action. Recently, you saw Lance Archer become part of the Don Callis family. Billy Starks is in action. Billy Starks is, hopefully will fulfill that dream of dethroning the Ring of Honor world, the longest reigning champion, not just women's champion, the longest reigning champion in the business's history, the promotion's history, Athena. I want to see this, I want to see this get personal. I want to see Billy Starks come out of this the victor because I feel like ultimately she deserves it. Athena, they've been looking for a worthy competitor. Obviously, Red Velvet, Queen Aminata couldn't really get the job done. So I feel like it'd be best bet for Billy Starks to, kind of proceed her, damn it, what's that word? Proceed. Oh my God, I can't believe I can't think of it right now. Kind of like when a prince overcomes a king, or like someone of lower level, overcomes a king. Oh my God, when I think of it, I'm gonna tell you guys. But we have a Ring of Honor. We have a Women's World Television Championship match. Red Velvet going up against Diamante. Ring of Honor World Championship Proving Ground match between Mark Briscoe and Josh Woods. And we also have a Shane Taylor's Promotions against the up and coming, well, not the up and coming, but the very, consistent, yet badass, yet successful, the infantry. So, tonight on Thursday Night Wrestling should be pretty badass. Make sure you guys tune into those shows. Well, guys, do not go anywhere. Our next segment, we're going to talk about Kurt Angle when he came back after everything that happened with his first run with WWE and, his run with TNA when he came back the second time as the Raw general manager. A lot of people kind of speculate that he kind of got effed over. You know what I mean? Like he was being punished by Vince McMahon. We're going to talk about that when we come back. So, hey, do not go anywhere.